All right, this video is a demonstration of what it takes for me to finish the inside of a drape molded bowl where each of the pieces on the outside of this bowl were made from individual sections. So they were all put onto a plaster mold, scored, fastened together, but it left quite a rough inside. A lot of overlapping seams, basically tons of seams. So the first thing that I did was, once it was leather hard, I used a trimming tool, a loop tool. So this is a trimming ribbon tool. It's got a round end. I made sure to freshly sharpen the tool before doing this. You want something that's going to slice and not something that you're going to have to use a lot of pressure in order to get it to cut. After I used the ribbon tool, I used a sharpened spoon. Again, it has a very good edge on it, so I can use that as a scraper. Spoons are uniquely good for scraping the inside of bowls, and it actually works good as a trimming tool on the wheel as well, if you don't need it for hand building. You'll see bit by bit there are small holes that are opening up. Those are the parts of the forms where it was just a little bit deeper, and so it's a little bit thinner there. Wherever I have a hole open up, I score it with a X-Acto blade, and then I add white vinegar, actually. And I also put white vinegar on the clay that I use to patch it. So vinegar is going to not allow the clay to expand the same way as water. And when you're patching things later in the process like this, or honestly, anytime you're scoring, vinegar is always going to work better than water. So when I'm working with late leather hard pieces, I always use vinegar for my patches. After the spoon, I'm using a metal rib and scraping the inside. So you can think of this as being like sanding. I'm essentially going from a very, very coarse inside, using my coarsest tool to take those marks off. My next coarsest tool takes those marks off. The scraper takes off the marks from the spoon. And then the next thing that I need to do with this is patch these holes that have opened up. And any areas that were low enough that I didn't want to keep scraping in order to remove them, I'd rather fill them. Occasionally you'll see me spraying the inside with a little bit of water, or spraying the rim with a little bit of water. I don't want to let it dry out too much as I'm working. And here's me using the X-Acto blade to just do that scoring. I brush on the white vinegar, push in a piece of clay, and then use, I started off by using a small wooden tool for pressing this down, but then I found that a little curved metal tool that I had worked a lot better. So I put the patch in place, and then after it's been pressed in well, me supporting it from the other side with my hand, I then put vinegar around the patch, and then I compress into the clay that's been dampened with vinegar. After I compress it with the little metal tool, I use a large rubber rib and kind of compress again and kind of feather it out a bit more. The reason I'm using the metal tool to begin with there is because I can apply more pressure, more force, in a smaller area with the metal tool than I can with the larger tool. And this is late leather hard, so I'm having to be a little bit cautious that I don't just go punching through the side of it with my hands or with a tool or something. All right, so more of the patching. The reason I wanted to make this video, and there'll be a couple more like this, is to kind of show how long it actually does take to do this amount of work. So in this spot here, I found it was working a little bit better to use the backside of the spoon to do my compressing than the rubber rib. It was giving me a little bit more force, and it was letting me blend a little bit nicer. The clay's getting stiffer and stiffer. So I did like how that transition from the metal tool to the back of the metal spoon was working. And I kind of spread out from the middle of the patch so that the middle doesn't get flattened anymore. I'm feathering the edges. But anyhow, one of the things that I dislike about internet videos is often you don't really get a sense of exactly how long these things take. I spent almost 2 hours on this. So it's been fast forwarded for you, but this was 2 hours. Sometimes the answer to how do you do that or how do you make that look nice is just bloody mindedness and time. And for something like this, it just takes time. And that's how you get it to look that way. So I wanted you to have a more honest sense of how much time this is really taking. And you get a nice product at the end of it. This also should show that, having a hole in something, having something crack, it's not the end of the world. You can patch things all the way up to when it's greenware, and it will survive just fine. You just need to know the right way to do it. I'll have a couple more videos on different types of patching and repairs, but I thought this was a really good one for just how much finessing the inside of this bowl actually took. Occasionally I spray it with a little bit of water. Now I'm using the handle of a pin tool in order to do the back, and then one foot fell off and I put that back on.